Welcome back. You're watching Scene TV, and I'm Maya McNulty, your host. Schenectady Cable Entertainment News and Events. Today we have a really special show for you. One of the organizations that I truly am passionate about, NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness. And today I have three guests that are going to be sharing an amazing journey of a story and also a creation of an event. So welcome, Matt Chaparro.
Thank
it's a
you,
pleasure.
Maya.
And Tina Lee. And I'm just going to air five you over there, Melissa. So welcome all three of you to the show. I'm so excited that you're here to share some stories about NAMI and also the event that you have coming up, the offthemask.org. Well, that's the website, offthemask.org if they want tickets, but Off the Mask Fashion Show, ending the silence, breaking the stigma surrounding mental illness. So Matt, why don't you share your role with NAMI?
Sure, thank you, Maya, and thank you for having us. So I'm the Associate Director for Public Affairs at NAMI, so I handle all our advocacy work, a lot of our communication work, and put together our education conference that we have every year in October. So really educating the public and engaging them in the conversations about mental health and mental illness.
Super. And how long have you been in that position?
I've been with NAMI for 11 years.
11. And what have you seen grown from the first time that you were a part of the NAMI Association to now?
Sure. You know, what's been really exciting is that the conversations around mental health have become more normalized, right? I think for so long, I think people have wanted to talk about these issues, but we all kind of hide behind our masks, so to speak. And, or the way I sometimes say is like people are held behind the door, and NAMI helps people open that door. And once you open that door, it's been so inspiring seeing people flood through there and tell their stories and share their experiences and let people know that they're not alone. You know, 1 out of 5 people are going to have a mental illness, but all of us have mental health challenges. We're all going to deal with anxiety, stress, depression, grief, and we have to be able to talk about these things and know these are normal feelings, and we shouldn't be bottling up our feelings or masking what's going on with us.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And then an important role, Tina Lee, welcome to the show. And you're the Community Education and Outreach Manager. And speak on your role.
Well, you know, it's interesting. I got involved with NAMI really out of desperation. You know, I always tell folks when they ask how I got involved with NAMI is, NAMI really saved my kid's life. You know, she was struggling with mental health issues pretty much all her entire life, and she was actually diagnosed in middle school with depression and anxiety. But you know, at the time, I just thought, you know, everybody's a little sad. She's a teenager, you know, and everybody gets diagnosed with ADHD, you know, and she'd grow out of it. And, you know, little did I know, you know, she went down the path of, you know, drug and substance alcohol abuse, severe suicide attempts over and over again. And, you know, so I kind of fell into NAMI, you know, found it in a newspaper article. So I was very lucky to get involved at our local affiliate, NAMI Mid-Hudson, as their executive director for a few years. And then, you know, I got poached up by Matt to come up to the state level because I really thought that, you know, I think, you know, my voice could be better resounded in over the state. You know, we have 24 local NAMI affiliates. So I basically oversee the programs that we offer, which are free and confidential. They truly are free. They're evidence-based. You know, they're for families, caregivers, also individuals with mental health issues, to give them the skills. I always like to see it as like this head, heart, feet method, you know, increasing your mental health literacy, increasing your compassion, which I think a lot of families don't understand the illness, so they're very punitive. And also the feet part, as you know, Matt mentioned, there's a lot of stigma. You know, people wait almost a decade to get help. You know, 50% of youth ages 8 to 15 don't receive any help. And again, I think if we normalize that, you know, and we say 50% of a young person who's 8 to 15 with a broken leg or cancer, they were denied, you know, treatment, you know, we would not accept that, right? And so, you know, that really is, I think, you know, the essence of NAMI, that head, heart, feet. You know, we really go out there, you know, make sure that people are comfortable talking about it. You know, again, I think it's an exciting time, as Matt said. You know, in our community, you know, in our New York State, we have our mental health bill. So every kid has to have mental health education, which I think is going to really change the trajectory. You know, I think, you know, educators are getting educated, you know, parents are being aware of it, and students as well. You know, they have a lot of friends that are struggling, so I think we're giving them language, and as Matt said, you know, we're sort of the gatekeepers opening that door and allowing people to talk about it.
Yeah, you're speaking from such passion too. Thank you for sharing the story
Thanks.
of your child. I too have a young daughter who's in college, and honestly, that scares me. It scares me to know what's going on campus and how these kids can easily be influenced because you look like a great person, right? And I'm sure that you are a great person. And there is no mask on who is and who isn't. What maybe we could stigmatize and say because they grew up on a lower income bracket or something of that nature and they didn't have the influence. But no, it's affecting people of influence or non-influence or status or non-status. Doesn't matter. There is
There's no face.
color face.
There is no face, and I think, Matt and I discuss this a lot, is that it's an equal opportunity illness.
Yeah.
Okay, there really is no description, and I think that's, and it's not to be afraid of it. I think, what we're looking at, what NAMI is really striving for is mental wellness in our community. We know that, having healthy minds really gives a community the sustainability, not only socioeconomically, but emotionally, physically. And, again, we talk a lot about the opioid pandemic. There's a component of mental health there. And, I think we're changing that conversation too, because many of our families struggle with that. Again, what is the face of somebody that is addicted to painkillers or addicted to heroin? There really is none, So I think, it really is time for us to incorporate what I like to see it as emotional hygiene in our conversation with our kids. Like you said, your child is going to college. I mean, it's the first time they're on their own. They have to have a conversation. If you do poorly on the test, it's healthy to be sad, but it's not healthy to be sad for more than 2 weeks. Eating disorders, again, very prevalent on college campuses. They're on their own for the first time. To be able to know where to go, so I think that's something that we have to encourage. It's ageless, we have to talk about it. We all have mental health just like we all have physical health, and know what to do, what conversation to have.
It can really be devastating to a family as well. And I want to just say hello to Melissa over here. And Melissa, you have a child as well, and I have a child that's in college. You have one that's out of college, and you have one that's just going through school, right? A school-age child. So speak on that.
Yeah, well, I think that we talked about that when we talked about creating Off the Mask. The reason that I was interested in helping NAMI is because a couple of years ago I did a big fundraiser and fashion show for addiction awareness. And a couple of years ago it was, and it's still, of course, very prevalent, but Maya and I discussed that it does start with mental health quite usually, almost everybody, and I know this firsthand because several of our models were in the addiction fashion show, and I've now become friends with them, but I know their stories, and it definitely started for them there. And yet, as far as my child, I think I can remember having a moment on the phone with you when we decided NAMI, and like choking up because worrying about my child is right where we are. And we actually, to be personal too, are having a tough year with him. He is started in the middle school. He's addicted to electronics, like a lot of, and that doesn't help. And he's got some pretty severe social anxiety this year. But the school has been great, and so to see that they are being educated, it's just no coincidences why we're all here doing this together. Because I know that that's helped me have a discussion with my child, and my husband and I and the school have worked with him, and he's having a better year now.
Absolutely.
But had we just tried to make him deal with that on his own. Or try to sweep it under the rug. But because kind of having, this discussion and learning from my other community members that this is real.
You want to be
and
proactive.
I
That's the
don't
thing.
want him to go to college or before college, use drugs to mask that.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
And,
Thank you so much for sharing, because I know that that's probably really tough, and that's the problem, is that how we don't know how to go out there and get the help and share and tell our stories before sometimes it's too late, right? So programs like yours is what's really essential. It's kind of like a preventative medicine in a way.
Absolutely.
If we could educate, advocate, and train people before they hit those substances, right? So Matt, speak on that.
Sure. So, what we really try to do is give our families and individuals the tools they need to succeed or to be engaged in recovery or be successful caregivers. In addressing Melissa's situation, we have a program, NAMI Basics, which is for families that have younger children, school-age children, and it teaches you how to recognize what's the difference between typical teenage behavior and behavior that might be a little more troubling or concerning, and how to identify that behavior, how to communicate those concerns to the schools or to the doctors and how to fully advocate for your child. And because I think when these situations happen, people are at a loss, so they really need that type of guidance. And the beautiful thing about NAMI is that all our programs are peer driven. So when you take a class at NAMI, you're taking it from someone who's walked the walk, who's been in your shoes, have had that same experience. And I really say the beautiful thing about NAMI is that our families, our teachers use our pain that we've experienced as a gift because we can use it to help others. And we want to make sure everyone has the tools in their toolbox to succeed, whether that's a successful parent, a successful spouse, a successful sibling, or someone living in recovery. So that's what's so important, that we have the tools to recognize and what to do once we feel these issues have arisen.
The show you are watching has been produced by SACC.TV. SAC TV is a not-for-profit organization that provides educational programming, seeking to enrich communities by producing shows on culture, science, health, the arts, and more. SAC TV is member-driven, which means that we rely on donations, grants, underwriting, and volunteers to deliver quality content. SAC.TV has been in operation continually since 1974 and currently operates a full-time studio in Rotterdam, New York. In recent years, SAC.TV has produced over 500 community-driven programs that are all available to view free to the public on www.sac.tv, on demand 24 hours a day. SAC.tv also airs shows on local television, channels such as WNYT, My4 Albany, with programs like Do You Know the Muffin Man, Caught in the Crossfire, Scene TV, Tune Into Wellness Today, and The Janice Thompson Show. Check your local programming schedule or www.sac.tv for times and dates. In SAC.tv's mission to connect and inform communities and individuals, every week we're producing new shows. To be able to provide this service, we are in need of your help. There's a lot of ways you can help SAC.tv and in turn help your community. Visit www.sac.tv. There you can click on Donate and select the contribution level of your choice. You can also help SAC.tv by sponsoring an ongoing program, volunteering behind the scenes, or even producing your own show. And as always, if you enjoy what you've seen, visit us on YouTube and Facebook. Subscribe, like, share, and pass the word around. For more information and to see the latest shows, visit www.sac.tv or contact us as director@sac.tv or by phone at 518-831-9145. For now, back to our program, and stay tuned for more great shows.
Yeah, and how is some of this funded? Because that gets me to the next question. There's so many families in need, right? And there's so many opportunities, and you guys are competing for the same dollars, because when you think of like suicide prevention, well, you're not that, right? And you think of like bullying, which all stems to lead to this thing. But you guys are uniquely different, and I'm going to have Tina speak on how you're uniquely different.
Well, I think, as Matt said, we're peer-driven, which I think is incredibly important, because, again, it's hard to listen to somebody's recommendations, say a clinician, when, they may not have the experience to go through it. Or the peer may say, well, you have no idea what I'm going through. So, when you do have somebody that says, what, I do know exactly what you're going through, and it is hard, to validate, right? And, funding's always an issue for anything, I think, right? And so, again, I've been involved with a lot of organizations, been on boards, and I've never been involved with an organization that's so passionate. If you need anything, people, okay, here, I'll bring that, or I'll give you that. So, it is very, very hard, because again, as Matt has mentioned, all of our programs are free to the participants. So, we rarely, if you can't afford, to make a donation, we're not going to ask, So, many of our families that have had wonderful experiences with NAMI have made donations, to our cause. I think when we look back, one of our programs, Ending the Silence for Students, it takes about $10 per student, to give out information, or we give out resource cards. All the people that present are also volunteers, so they take that time off of their work. The young adult that presents, they take off time from their school. So the passion is, it's there, but programs that we do really change attitudes. They really save lives. So, again, we write a lot of grants,
Yeah.
and we sometimes are very successful in reaching out to, somebody that's a grantor. They see the value of our programs, but this event, Off the Mask, we're trying it a little bit different. We've done a walk in the past, but we thought, we want to change the narrative, on what we're trying to say, and reach a population that may have, a little bit more economic sustainability and see the value. And we are seeing that. We're having conversations with, hospitals and other clinicians and other just groups of folks that say, what, you're right. We have mental health issues being impacted in our communities. We need to start talking about this. And again, the way I see it is that the system really is, pretty fragmented. So we've got to use the best of what we have. And I think what we have is that we are family. You can call any NAMI affiliate and say that you're a NAMI person. And granted, you open your doors. We all speak the same language, no judgment. We know that it's an ongoing. We say it's not a sprint, but a marathon. It's every day. So it does take funding. So we're hoping that this Off the Mask event will bring in not only the awareness. Even I think I talked to Melissa. The first week we started, we had people coming out to ask for help. So this event has already saved people's lives, and we want
Open
to.
the line
Oh,
of communication.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And another thing I think is very important, Tina mentioned earlier that on average it takes people 10 years from the time they first know symptoms till when they get help, which is just totally unacceptable, but accessing services are so hard. And the one thing we never want to be a barrier to access is cost, right? So that's why all of our programs are free. When we do our big education conference, we give out so many scholarships because we know people need this. I mean, the sacrifices a lot of our families make to be able to support someone with a mental illness is great, and we never want to be have finances be a burden. And really, the generosity of viewers like yours and so many of our donors who've also walked the walk, and people like Tina who've benefited from NAMI want to give back, and everyone on our staff and everyone has a family member. We're all clients as well as staff, so we all know, and I think that's really the beautiful thing about it, is that we want to make sure we know how necessary that support, that education is, and we want to make sure it's accessible to everyone.
Yeah, so Melissa, you are on the steering committee for the Off the Mask fashion show. It's the first time in history that it's being done. It's a new, like Tina had mentioned, that you guys used to do a walk, but Melissa has this idea of creating this event. And so, Melissa, speak on that.
Yeah, it's just, and they were so excited too. I
We
can
were so
remember-
excited, yeah.
I can remember going on and meeting with the board, and I had no idea what they were going to say, but I could just tell. And they said they wanted to vote when I left, but I knew it was a big deal there. Like, this is a great idea, and to combine art too, and ask a lot of peers to donate their art. That's a really fun part of it. I mean, everyone's so excited. They love to model. We created these masks. We've created so many more community events. This is much bigger than just this one event.
Yeah.
It's bringing a lot of great people together, opening what people are talking about. They're being really open and honest about their own issues with their family or themselves. And the night is going to be a blast. Of course, we're going to be on the runway. Or it's going to be crazy chaos all day. Everybody preparing and the models getting their hair and makeup done and wearing beautiful fashions. The masks will be on during their first walk, and then they'll come off for the second walk on the runway. And then the artwork's going on. It's just exciting stuff. Silent auction. A lot of people. We think we can probably fit up to 300.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have room still. Tickets offthemask.org. I'd
You
like
don't
to
want to be
sell.
shut out.
Yep,
Yeah,
absolutely.
it will sell out,
Yeah.
for sure.
And,
Yeah.
and the concept is just so incredible because unbeknownst to most people, we wear masks every day, right? You know, I might see you first thing in the morning. I'll say, Maya, how are you today? It's almost like we're programmed to say, we're all right. I'm doing great. I'm fine. Thank you. But how many people, when someone asks you, how are you today, are really honest? Take off that mask and show how you're really feeling. And, you know, when we talked about suicide prevention, you know, we all play a role in that, right? We all could be better listeners. But you know, we have to understand not to wear, we all play these roles and wear these masks. It's really time that we all take the masks off, be honest with each other, and say what's really what we're really feeling, and hope that people are going to listen. I think that's one of the other things we train people to do is be better listeners and to break down these roles and take off these masks. It's so powerful. It's very, very inspiring.
Yeah, I love the energy that this show is starting to create and the excitement around it. So many people are really engaged and they're still telling their story. They're coming from a place of authenticity.
Yeah.
Authenticity. I can't even say the word right now.
Authenticity.
There you go. And they're really vulnerable, right?
Yeah.
And they're just expressing themselves in a new way. And so to do it on a catwalk where most people, right, would be so intimidated and so afraid that they would probably say, no, not for me, right? So the money that's going to be raised for this organization, for this fundraising event, how will your organization use it?
It's going to go right back into our programs. You know, so I mean, I think, you know, when you look at many nonprofits, you know, maybe a penny of their, you know, the what they've raised, you know, is going toward their programs. Ours really, it's almost 100% because again, you know, our programs are entirely driven by volunteers, you know, so, you know, if there's costs, it's, you know, printing all the materials, people get tons of materials, you know, when they go to the class, you know, we have speakers come in as well, so, you know, again, you know, I can't say enough about Nami. It really, you know, has saved my kid's life, and she will also be walking on the catwalk. You know, I know when I first mentioned her, she has severe anxiety, and she, you know, I was really surprised actually. You know, she said, you know what, it's time to face my fears. She's going to be walking down the catwalk with her clinician. You know, jokingly, I don't know if she's going to be, she may be carried down the catwalk, but she is determined. You know,
Yeah.
she said, you know what, I got to do this. You know, and you know, I spoke to so many of the models. They were just so inspirational. You know, and a few of them were, you know, scared to talk about their disorder, and they have started talking about it in public,
Yeah.
you know, and that's really our message, that, you know, we would never penalize somebody with cancer, okay, or AIDS, right?
Right.
We would be, you know, empathetic and compassionate, right? And, you know, as Matt mentioned, you know, not one person can keep somebody safe from suicide or addiction issues or mental health. It is a community initiative. This needs to be talked about. We need to start talking about it because, you know, no matter what those numbers are, right? To me, you know, one suicide's one suicide too many. You know, anybody that's getting, you know, ill, we all have to be there. You know, be supportive. This is, you know, we have to really start ending the silence. You know, talk about this. This is impacting our communities. You know, overall, not even just here, you know, in Albany. We're talking nationally, universally, globally, right?
Right.
And so, you know, to me, I feel like as a global citizen, you know, it's our duty, you know, to really preserve the quality of life for everyone, right? And it's exciting, you know, from, you know, top down, bottom up. I think, you know, this event, we're seeing people coming out of the woodwork and really reaching out to us.
Yeah.
It's really amazing.
Yes,
We
yeah.
we share mine, but you know, I'm walking the catwalk too, and doing the fundraising on Facebook and stuff like that. You put things out there, and it's just amazing the response you get. Like people I literally haven't seen since elementary school sharing their stories with me and supporting what we're doing. And you know, I had a really good friend tell me, he goes, "I'm so envious of what you do because I've lived with mental illness my whole life. I'm afraid to talk about it at work. And here you have a job that encourages it." So it's kind of like we're leading the way for so many people. I kind of feel like the Pied Piper, and you know, it's sad. I mean, you hate hearing stories like that where people want to speak but they're afraid to, and really. We as a society have to be able to accept these things and know that we all struggle. Why are we judging? And you know, one of the big things NAMI does too is Tina and I do lunch and learn sessions where we go to different businesses to do mental health in the workplace and how do we understand these issues. So too, if you want to reach out to NAMI, you can visit us at www.naminys.org. And we would love to come to your business and do a mental health in the workplace, because it really does take a village, and we want people to be comfortable in whatever situation they're in, whether it's the home, at work, at school, that we could talk about what's going on honestly and openly.
Yeah, definitely. And just about being authentic too. Like, I'm not perfect, right? And I mess things up all the time. And that's the thing. People just think that they have to have this perfect life and they have to have this perfect image all the time. Right. And I've never met a perfect person. I can barely pronounce words sometimes. I can poke fun at myself because I'm comfortable in my skin, and I can share that because that's authentic about me. So NAMI, your location is in Albany. Speak on your location, and again, how could someone get in touch with you guys and reach out for help?
Sure. So our state office is located at 99 Pine Street in Albany, right between Broadway and Pearl Street. Our phone number is 518-462-2000. I already gave a plug for the website, naminys.org. But we also have local affiliates, as Tina said. We have 25 local affiliates throughout the state, including NAMI Capital Region, which does programs in Rensselaer County and Albany County, all over the Capital Region. We have actually NAMI Schenectady that does support groups and programs too. So, if you go to our website, you can find your local NAMI, and like Tina said, the one thing that when you're going to contact a NAMI, it doesn't matter if it's here in the Capital Region and Western New York and downstate, that you're going to have people who have had that experience, who understand what you're going through, and are going to be sympathetic and good listeners. So that's what's so important.
Yeah, great. And again, let's just wrap up with the website for offthemask.org and why people should come out. One more time, Melissa.
Yeah, well, it's offthemask.org. We also have a Facebook page, of course. Come out and have fun, be, part of your community, and just, open and talking to people about, I'm sure, like you guys have said, everybody is affected in some way, personally or a family member. So NAMI is a great organization. Come be a part of this event, and it's going to help more people than you know.
Yeah, and the address for the fashion show is 645 Albany Shaker Road. It's at the Hearst Media Center in Albany, New York, across from Starbucks, actually, the Times Union building, if you're looking for a landmark. But yes, 645 Albany Shaker Road, 6 to 9. Tickets will not be at the door. They are available at offthemask.org, and you guys will sell out, I guarantee it. So thanks, everyone, for watching Scene TV, and we'll catch you next time.